I'm Scott Weichel. You're listening to My Kind of Country right here on Fish Creek Radio. This group is a huge piece of country music history, dating all the way back to the 1940s. Their distinctive and recognizable sounds in the music industry have earned them multiple awards, including 3 platinum, 1 double platinum album, a double platinum single, and they've had more than a dozen national number one singles and over 30 top 10 hits and over 41 million albums sold. And they are the newest members of the Country Music Hall of Fame. It is my honor to welcome Joe Bonsall from the Oak Ridge Boys to My Kind of Country. Joe, how are you today?
Well, Scott, I'm doing really good. Thank you for that wonderful introduction right there. Much appreciated.
Well, it is an honor to have you, and I want to congratulate all of you on your induction into the Country Music Hall of Fame. That's just fabulous.
Thank you, Scott. I got to tell you, man, it's a big, big deal, and I don't think I've ever seen anything in our career affect us as much as being inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame. I mean, every guy in the group, William Lee, Dwayne, myself, Richard, we're just blown away by it because what it does, it's kind of immortality, you know? I mean, you sometimes wonder, did we do enough? Have we done enough to warrant the hall? And in my new book, On the Road with the Oak Ridge Boys, I wrote in that book that I hope someday that we're in the Country Music Hall of Fame, and if it does happen, I hope it happens while we're alive. And I'll be doggone if the book doesn't come out, and within 3 weeks of the book releasing, they announce us as the new inductees into the Hall of Fame. So I got to tell you, it's great to still be alive and be in the Hall, and I don't know, to me it like spells out the fact that, you know, when we're no longer around, we'll still be here because of the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely. Well, you all have had a tremendous impact on country music and so many great songs. And not only, you know, with this current lineup, you know, it dates all the way back to the 40s. It started out as a gospel group. And the Oak Ridge Boys name has been around, you know, for almost as long as country music has.
Well, the original group started out in Knoxville, Tennessee. They were called the Georgia Clodhoppers at first, and they were kind of a self-contained bluegrass gospel band. And they were invited over to sing at the Secret Installation in Oak Ridge, where they were working on the Manhattan Project. And these guys would go in there and perform on Saturday nights for all these people who were sequestered there. They couldn't leave, scientists, military, their families. And they became known as the Oak Ridge Quartet. And when the war ended, they moved to Nashville and started hosting the Friday night singing, all-night singing conventions at the Ryman. You'd have the Grand Ole Opry on Saturday and have the gospel singing convention on Friday. And the Oak Ridge Boys, with a guy named Wally Fowler back then, used to host that. Well, on into the 50s they went, and they broke up in the middle 50s, and some younger guys reorganized the group and started calling it the Oak Ridge Boys. And that's how it all started for us. William Lee Golden has been here for 50 years. He joined in 1965.
Wow.
And Dwayne Allen's been here 49 years. He joined the group in 1964. And Richard in 72, and myself in 73. So I guess I'm the new guy. I've only been 1.5 years.
I doubt they're calling you rookie anymore, though, right?
But we have had an amazing career, Scott. God's been good to us, man. And even at our age right now, everybody's feeling good. We're singing good. I mean, somebody, you know, we did a lot of press after that Hall of Fame thing. And one of the questions that people asked us a lot was, so what do you do now? I said, well, we sing. We sing, man. We keep singing. That's what we do. That's what got us in the Hall of Fame. That's what we've always wanted to do. Why stop? And I figure if God continues to give us the health and the blessings to continue to do this, and to continue to do it well, I might add, because I think, you know, being able to perform at a high level is very important, then I see no reason to quit. In fact, the Oak Ridge Boys have no quit in us. We're planning 2017 right now, so we're very optimistic.
Amen, brother. That's awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. I was very tickled to hear your one of your latest albums that I want to talk about, and that was the live album that you guys had done and had all your hit songs. I was surprised you hadn't done one before.
No, we have never done the live thing. And, you know, back in the gospel days, before I joined the Oaks long ago, the Oaks did a live performance album that was pretty cool back in those days. But as far as a live album of all the big hits that we've had, that's never been done. It seemed like every time anybody ever came up with an idea to, hey, man, let's do a live album, it always got backburnered or something for some other project that was coming up. Well, we're doing this patriotic type thing. We're doing a new album of country songs. We're doing a new gospel album, a new Christmas album. So it always got pushed to the back. And finally, we decided we're going to do this. I have to give Dwayne Allen the credit for his leadership in the matter. And we just started taking out recording equipment and recording shows. And right about that time, Jim Halsey was talking to Cleopatra Records out in L.A., and they said, hey, man, we'd love to put out a live album of the Oak Ridge Boys doing the hits. And so it all came together, and it happened, and it's called Boys Night Out, and it's done really well. It really has. And I think it's kind of unique that we can do so many different things. For instance, our new album right now is at Cracker Barrel Old Country Stores. It's an album of the old hymns. We went in the studio last year and recorded the wonderful old hymns of the church. In fact, we've even got a song on there called Sweet Jesus, written for us by Merle Haggard, and the Hag's on the song.
I noticed
that.
I
mean, that's even cool. So we're always looking for new things to do, new ways to do it. So it keeps us fresh and keeps us excited.
Well, amen to that. I think that's a wonderful thing. And tell me a little more about this new album. It is absolutely wonderful. I love the song "Sweet Jesus" with Merle Haggard, and some of the songs that I remember as I was growing up. And you guys do those so well. You have such a wonderful heart and soul that comes out in the songs, in addition to the great harmonies.
Well, I'll be honest with you, when the idea first came out, I thought, well, that's cool, man. We'll do a hymns album. And I really didn't think much about it, to be honest. My only thing was, I want to make sure I sing I Love to Tell the Story. That's my favorite old hymn. And everybody said, oh, cool, man, you should sing it. And Golden said, well, this ain't a hymn, but I want to do Time Has Made a Change. So all of a sudden, everybody started getting more and more excited. And when we finally went in the studio with Dwayne Allen and Ben Isaac of the Isaacs producing, it started to come together like magic, man. It's like these old songs had such great life in them. There's a reason some of the old hymns like Rock of Ages have been around for hundreds of years, because they're great songs.
Absolutely.
They're songs we grew up singing. And I don't know, man, we started to really get this great feeling doing this thing. And after we got all the tracking done, we tracked it very simply, by the way. We just tracked it with a guitar and a drum and a piano.
Wow.
And any other instrumentation that we used later was put on later. And we just concentrated on those vocals, man. Let's get the four voices really out front singing these hymns. And I'll tell you, it just came out really, really well. And I'm very proud of it. And people are loving it. I mean, people are loving this album because, we put like our own little touch to these things. And, first of all, to really do them well, you got to be a quartet, and we are.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, you've got to put that four-part sound on there and put it on there big. And there's just a lot of what we call meaty singing on there. It's just got a lot of meat and potatoes to it. And it's a real nice thing. And the Merle Haggard thing was a great touch. Merle actually wrote that song for us when we were working on the live album.
Okay.
And he sent it to us. We said, well, man, we don't have anywhere to put this thing. My God, Merle Haggard's written us a song, and it's excellent, and what are we going to do? So the next year, this past fall, when the idea for the hymns album came down from Bill Gaither, actually, my God, we could put the Merle Haggard song on this hymns album. It would fit. It's not a hymn, but so what? It's our album. We could put a few extra things on there that's not just the old hymns, something to add some flavor and spice to it. And what's cooler than a Merle Haggard song with Merle on it?
Oh, absolutely. It was something.
So we did it, and oh man, I mean, it's the talk of everywhere. I think it'd win a Grammy next year.
I think so too. It's kind of a nice song to build the album around, I think.
I think so too, Scott. I really do. That's good insight, because the old hymns stand up on their own. I mean, Rock of Ages is Rock of Ages, no matter what. And but this thing here, this comes out of left field a little bit. It's a beautifully written song, and it's very simple. It's very Merle Haggardish. And the fact that he's on there with us and allowed us to use his recitation done by him, well, that just made it that much more special. Because, we've worked with a lot of artists over the years, man, but we'd never done anything with Merle Haggard. Me personally, I love Merle Haggard. I have always loved Merle Haggard. To me, he's the epitome of what great country music is all about.
Amen.
And go back to the young days with the Hag. In fact, I don't know if this will end up in the interview. You can edit it, but not too long ago, I went to iTunes and I found the album called Hag that came out in about 68, 69. I used to have the 8-track to that, giving away my age.
Wow, cool.
I used to listen to that thing all the time. And when I found that on iTunes the other day, man, I was just shouting. I downloaded it, and I have listened to What Have You Got Planned for Me, Diana, 100 times since. I'm a big Haggard fan, so to be doing one with Merle Haggard, it's pretty cool, I think.
Well, me too, man. You made me even a bigger fan of yours, because I've been a Merle Haggard fan all my life, and I recently collaborated with a gentleman in Scotland and one in England, and we did his worldwide discography and finished that up. And
oh, cool!
So, kudos to you for that, man. That's awesome, and that's great that Haggard was on that album with you. And yeah, you have recorded with a lot of great people. You also did How Do You Know with T. Graham Brown on his latest gospel album, Forever Change, which is wonderful.
Yeah, we love T, man. When T called us up and said, "Hey guys, I'm doing this gospel thing. It's really close to my heart. I'd like you guys to sing on a couple of cuts with me if you would." And hey, man, set it up. Tell us what time to be there. Couldn't wait to sing one with T.
Well, gospel music is extremely popular, as evidenced by his Grammy nomination for that, and I guarantee there's going to be a Grammy in the works for you guys for this album because it's stellar performances.
Oh, thank you, man. I'm real proud of it. I think everybody really sang well on it, and Ben and Dwayne really put together a nice production for it, and it's acoustic-driven. The voices are out front. You're singing those great old songs, and I don't know how it gets much better than that for an old gospel quartet fan that I am also.
You bet. How do you guys when you go into the studio? How do you determine who's going to sing what part, as far as the leads and stuff like that?
I think sometimes the song will tell you. I think you can feel it. This is a song for Dwayne. This is a song for me to sing. I mean, I think a lot of times we've been together so long, we can just feel where the leads go. And we did do some conscious arranging of some of the hymns. Like in the Garden, for instance, we did this really cool arrangement. We worked it out around the piano with great piano player Gordon Mote, and worked it out so that the voices, here we'll do a little trio, here Richard will sing, and then we'll change keys and go up. So, I mean, we did actually consciously work on the harmony arrangements of that, but a lot of stuff really comes natural to us. It really does. And then again, if a guy, like I said earlier, if a guy really has his heart and soul into something, like, for instance, I wanted to sing I Love to Tell the Story. I just love that old hymn. I said, if I can do I Love to Tell the Story, I'm happy.
There you
well,
go.
then, man, let Joe sing I Love to Tell the Story. And with Golden, and his time has made a change. He says, he really wanted to do that bad. He loves that song, and he found it, relevant to himself at this time of his life. So
that's very important, and that you can really deliver a song when you feel it in your heart and soul. That's for sure.
Oh man, yeah, that's what a concept, right? I mean, that's what music's supposed to be about, and it's a joy to be a part of this group, man. I'm just a part of it. I've been a voice for the group for a long time. This new book, On the Road with the Oak Ridge Boys, I hope people will look that up because it's a roadmap as to how this group has done what they've done for 42 years, how we've done it, how we do it, how we get from A to B to C to D. We address the songs, the tour, the show, the bus. It's the ORB doctrine. I think music students would even get a big kick out of this. If you go to Amazon right now and look up On the Road with the Oak Ridge Boys, I think that people will enjoy this book, and if they like our group at all, this is a must-read for you.
Absolutely. And also oakridgeboys.com has that.
We're newly redone, oakridgeboys.com.
Yeah, it's a great website.
We just redid the whole thing.
And then you have a website, josephbonsall.com. josephsbonsall.com. Yep, we'll put all that on our pages too for you. And you've not only done that book, you've done some other books too, G.I. Joe and Lily, and you're
yeah, that was a big seller for me there. That was a book based on my parents' lives. My father was there at the first round of D-Day, and my mother was the Women's Army Corps WAC that met him after the war. And they got married, and it's a very, very unique Greatest Generation type story, and I think it touched the nerve with a lot of people who went through that very same thing as my parents did. So G.I. Joe and Lily was a big, big seller. And the Oaks have a song, too, called G.I. Joe and Lily that I wrote that we have done off and on over the years that has really, I think, been a blessing to a lot of people.
It's a great book, and it was a very entertaining read, and you're a very good author, well-established, and you've done some children's books, too. And
Yeah, I wrote a book called From My Perspective. I wrote 5 different children's books, 4 in the Molly the Cat series, and 1 called Inconvenient Christmas. I wrote a book on the Oak Ridge Boys 10 years ago called An American Journey. It's a little more historical in nature than the new book. The new book's kind of fresher, and I think you'll see some growth in the writing as well in the new one. So I'm really excited about it because it's doing good. It's like, when you write something like that, you put a lot of heart and soul in the creative process, and then you sit back and go, all right, now, is anybody going to care? I remember I said to Dwayne Allen up in the front, I said, Dwayne, I'm all finished with the book. I'm finished tweaking. I'm finished rewriting. I finished adding. I've went back and forth with my editor. I've read the final galleys. I've made fixes. This thing's going to press. Now the question is anybody going to give a rip? And Dwayne Allen said to me, he looked at me, and I swear, man, he had tears in his eyes. He said, yes, people are going to care about this book because it's a doggone good book. And coming from Dwayne, you're one of the guys you're writing about,
Yeah, absolutely.
That showed a lot of faith in me and in my writing and in the book itself. And now that people are buying it and reading it, it seems like people are really enjoying the work. So
Well,
wow, mission accomplished there.
Absolutely. Well, you guys have sold over 41 million albums. I'd say you've got a pretty huge fan base out there, and they're going to love that book. I guarantee it.
Well, thank you, Scott, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to talk about it. I'm real excited about it. We've got so many good things going on right now with the Hall of Fame. Our local town here of Hendersonville, Tennessee, is making this Tuesday the 5th Oak Ridge Boys Day in Hendersonville. We're going to have a big dinner at the Chamber of Commerce and the mayor and everything, which for our hometown, that's pretty cool because this is home, you know.
You bet.
And then to have the new hymns album, the new live album, and to have the new book On the Road with the Oak Ridge Boys, and have all this stuff going on at once. I don't know, man. It's just incredible to me.
It's so great and inspiring to hear that you guys are still going strong and staying so busy after this many years. I think it's absolutely fantastic. There are so many legends out there that are still going strong and still, playing sold-out concerts and putting out great music, and that's what we try to promote here at Fish Creek Radio. That's for sure.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I'll tell you, man, I even allude to it in the book that, yeah, there's a lot of great new country music out there going on, and country's paving new roads today and doing better than it's ever been because of a lot of these younger stars that are doing it. But you know what, man? The old guys are out there, too.
You bet.
Earl Haggard's still touring. Willie Nelson's touring. Charlie Daniels is touring. The Bellamy Brothers are touring. The Oak Ridge Boys are out there. I mean, and we're doing good business. So I think there's room for everything.
Absolutely. There's a big demand there for it. That's for sure. Well, I want to tell folks again, the oakridgeboys.com, josephsbonsall.com, where you can get the books, and, of course, Amazon. Cracker Barrel has your live album and your Rock of Ages brand new gospel album, so you can get that there.
And at the end of May, at the very end of May, they can get the hymns album on iTunes, and it'll be released everywhere. The Cracker Barrel exclusivity thing will be over, and I just like to put that in there because everybody wants to know, well, how can I download it on iTunes? I said, well, wait till the end of May, and you can.
Oh, good. That's good to know. Well, we'll keep an
and
eye out.
And On the Road with the Oak Ridge Boys, just today, as we're talking, just came out in all the electronic formats, so you can get it at Kindle and Nook and iBook and everything, as well as the regular book.
Well, if you're a fan of country music or just music in general, and especially the Oak Ridge Boys, you'll enjoy the book. It's one of those you just can't put it down. You have to kind of find a stopping point when you got to go to the bathroom, because you want to get right back to it again.
Well, thank you for that, Scott, man. Like I said, these are exciting days right now for us. They really are. I mean, our tour schedule is full, and all those things I just mentioned, the book, the new albums, the tour, everybody feeling good. I mean, I think we're very, very blessed.
I am so glad to hear that, and I'm so happy for you guys. I don't want to take up more of your time, but I do want to ask you just a couple more questions.
Sure.
I've always wanted to know about the story of the song you did with George Jones, "The Same Old Me." How did that come about, and how was it recording with George Jones?
Well, the cool thing is that our publishing company at the time owned Same Old Me, and we heard that George was interested in it. And so we kind of sent a note over to George, said, well, okay, if we can sing on it, you can have it. And it was just almost like in fun, and George said, I think it'd be great to have the boys on it. So next thing you know, we're in the studio with George, and we didn't really know George very well then, That song really drew us close together and cemented a friendship that lasted till the day he passed away. I mean, we even sang at his funeral. And I can't tell you how many times that we would go out, find an opportunity to sing Same Old Me with George. And in fact, I remember in particular there was this big festival up in North Dakota with a couple of different stages going. And we were playing one stage, and George was on another. And we told our crowd, says, we'll be right back. We got to go sing with George.
Oh, that's cool.
And we left the stage and went over there and sang Same Old Me with George, and then came back to our stage.
No kidding.
Sorry, man. We just had to go sing Same Old Me with George Jones. So we've had a lot of fun with George over the years. That was a big, big record for him. And the fact that we were on it, I think, was very, very cool. And as far as being in the studio with George, it's kind of unique because at first, you try to start bending your tones like George Jones, and we sounded like a bunch of idiots because you can't do it. I'm still the same, oh, me. And so we're going, same, oh, me. And then we finally decided, us, and I forget who produced that thing back then. Might have been Billy Sherrill, I don't remember.
Yeah, it would have been Billy Sherrill, yep.
Okay, it might have been, but it probably was. And I remember us saying, hey, wait a minute. We ought to just put the chorus down as the Oak Ridge Boys and let George be George, let us be us, and see how it comes together. And that's pretty much how we ended up doing it. We're singing it more like, I don't know, a little more vanilla maybe. Same old me, same sweet you, without trying to bend every note with him, which is totally impossible.
Yeah, but it kind of the way you guys did it layered the song. It kind of put your vocals up, kind of up over the top and kind of a spread over the whole entire lead vocal that he was doing. It layered real well.
At that same time, we recorded "Broken Trust" with Brenda Lee.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, man, that's us on there too, and it was almost the same kind of story. Our publishing company owned Broken Trust, and Brenda Lee wanted to sing Broken Trust, and we said, okay, Brenda, let us sing it with you, though. And she said, well, come on.
That's awesome.
You could actually listen to country radio back in those days, and you could hear the Oak Ridge Boys singing a song on the air, and next you'd have Broken Trust with the Oak Ridge Boys, and next same old me with the Oak Ridge Boys.
Yep.
We were pounding it out back then, man.
I guess so. Well, you're liable to hear that on my show, too, as I pull those out quite often and play them.
Well, check Broken Trust. It's almost the same kind of deal. We ended up deciding to sing, let's sing it like the Oak Ridge Boys and see if it fits with what Brenda's doing, and it did.
That's really cool. That is really cool. How I have to ask you about Elvira, because everybody that's listening to the interview is going to go, well, he didn't talk about Elvira. That's my favorite song, and that seems to be the most requested. How did that song come about for you guys, and did you ever expect it to be have the longevity that it's had and be as popular as it was for you?
Well, I'm not trying to plug the new book again, but I do have a whole chapter. You can't write a book about the Oak Ridge Boys and not have a chapter on Elvira. In fact, I think I called it Elviral. Because back in those days, things didn't go viral like they do today, but that song did. And no, we had no idea. Actually, the story goes that a song plugger for Acuff Rose Publishing heard a bar band in Texas sing Elvira. We were in the studio working on an album called Fancy Free. We had almost all the songs done. And we were working, and Ron Gant went to our producer, Ron Chancey, and said, man, this Elvira song's pretty cool. I thought it would be something totally different for the Oak Ridge Boys to sing. And Ron loved the idea, and he presented it to us. He said, Joe, you do the verses, and that way you do things. And if Richard, instead of the group doing the Papa Mau Mouse, because, the song had been recorded by the writer Dallas Frazier. It had been recorded by Kenny Rogers in the first edition. It had been recorded by Rodney Crowell. And I think one or two other acts had already done the song. So Ron was trying to make it different for us. He says, man, you put that thing on it and let Richard do these Papa Mau Mau things. And I even wrote in the book, if you really listen to the Papa Mau Mouse, there's almost an H in front of it. It's almost a home, Papa, home. And he almost puts this H in front of it, which I think really made it cool. And, well, we recorded it. We had fun with it. I think we did it like in one or two takes.
Is that right? Wow.
It was a simple song. Everybody was laughing, having fun. All the band was smiling, and we were singing it and laughing and having fun. And next thing you know, a couple months later, we're back on the road again, and we decided, well, let's do some of the new songs from the Fancy Free project. So we tell the audience, I remember we were in Spokane, Washington at the time, and we said, hey, we've got a new album coming out, and we'd like to sing a few of the new songs for you. And everybody said, sure. Back then we'd already had about 10 hits or so. We'd had 5 gold albums, so we're doing good. Leaving Louisiana and Dream On and Sail Away and Saloon and You're the One and Trying to Love Two Women. All those songs were already out. And we had already done the big tour with Kenny Rogers, the Full House tour in '79 with Kenny and Dottie West, first big arena tour in the history of country music. So, we already had a well-established career. But Elvira took us from being a well-known country act to a household name. And that night in Spokane, we said, here's one we just recorded. It's a little bit different. See what you think. And we did Elvira, and the place went nuts.
Wow.
Nuts. You'd have thought we gave them a condo in Montserrat. And we did it again. We did it 3 times that night, and we came back out for an encore and did it again.
Wow.
And the place hooped and hollered and stood up and yelled. And then it happened again the next 3 nights out in the Pacific Northwest.
You knew what you
had.
So
we came home and told MCA Records, hey, man, this better be the single. You ain't believing what this is doing out there.
Wow.
So they released it as a single, and it just went gigantic in country.
Yeah.
Sold 1 million singles, 1 million units like in 2 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then by the time it kind of started going down in country in the summer, we released Fancy Free as the single to follow it up. But Elvira slipped on over to the pop market, and the whole summer of 1981, man, the whole world was singing Elvira with the Oak Ridge Boys.
That's right.
It's crazy.
That's right, and they still are. Everybody's still singing Elvira after all these years, and it's
of all the songs, it don't matter, man. Elvira's the one.
Yep.
Elvira's the big one. We can't walk through an airport and some guy don't go, hey man, Papa Mau Mau, baby. It's just Oak Ridge Boys, Elvira. It's like it's stuck together like glue all these years, and it's still that way. That's the song they want to hear. It still gets the biggest cheer. I mean, it's really fun.
It's got to be cool to see you're still getting that response, and that's great, And all your songs, it's so fun when I listen to this live album. I love to hear live albums because you really get an essence of what it's like to to see the artist, and you hear what you really sound like, and you guys sound like you do on your records, and I think that's really cool in this day and age, especially.
Yeah, it's probably a little more edge to it. Songs metamorphosize some over the years. I mean, if you listen to the way we're doing Leaving Louisiana now, it's probably a little bit different feel than 79. Of course it is. Of course, everything changes and moves along. And it's basically the same, but yet there's little nuances that are different that I think people can pick up on, and it makes it fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a kind of a interesting question I want to end with. The Oak Ridge Boys have been they've been an institute for so very many years. Even before you guys were all members, there was the Oak Ridge Quartet, as you had mentioned earlier in the interview. And by the way, I love the history that you know about the group and the recall that you have. And I think it's a great thing that you've put this book out there for people.
Thank you.
It's a wonderful testament, and I applaud you for doing that. But as years go by, do you see the Oak Ridge Boys continuing on as a group after you guys retire down the line?
Well, obviously, I do address this in the book On the Road with the Oak Ridge Boys, and as I alluded to earlier, I don't see us ever planning retirement because there's no way that we would ever stop doing this. Only God would stop us. And a bout of really bad health or something catastrophic could happen, and then I think we'd have to deal with it. For instance, Joe's not coming tonight. He's dead. Okay, not to sound morbid, but that would be the only thing that would keep me off the bus. But, then the guys would have to deal with, what do we do now? One of our guys is gone. To me, I would like to think, and I write this in the book, I would like to think that the group would go on without me, that they would find somebody to do the part, and that the Oak Ridge Boys would go on. But now if you put the shoe on the other foot, and you look at it personally from my standpoint, if something happened to Dwayne Allen or William Lee Golden or Richard Sturban, I don't know yet what I'd do. Mm-hmm. That may be the thing that would make me want to maybe not do it anymore.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a unique thing to think about anyway, in theory, because anything can happen at any time. We all know that. Life is very fragile.
Right.
And we're all blessed right now with the good health, and everybody's singing good, like I said earlier, and feeling good. So you don't take any day or any show or any song for granted. You go out there and give it all you got, and that's what we do.
Amen.
But if something, like I say, happened to me, I like to think the group would go on. If something happened to one of the other guys, I don't know if I want to go on.
Yeah.
So
well, you guys
deal with that when it comes.
You guys as a unit have been together for so long, and you really are the Oak Ridge Boys. They certainly existed before you all came along, but you're the Oak Ridge Boys. If you get my meaning behind that, I understand.
I do. We're the four. Someone asked me, are you going to take the other former members into the Country Music Hall of Fame with you? No. When we were inducted into the Gospel Music Hall of Fame in 2002, we did that. Mm-hmm. We took Willie Wynn, who sang here before me. Lon Deacon Freeman, the original Oak Ridge Quartet, was still alive then. He went in the Hall of Fame with us. Several other living members that were once part of this group, we took into the Gospel Music Hall of Fame. But the Country Hall of Fame, no. It's been the four of us that have done this.
You bet.
And there's no room on that plaque for anybody else. It will be the four of us, our heads together, on a plaque in the rotunda of the Country Music Hall of Fame for as long as God allows the Hall of Fame to stand there.
Right.
And like I said, after we're long gone, after that does happen, we're still here because of the Hall of Fame.
Well, I am so very happy for you guys, and congratulations again to you and William Lee and Dwayne and Richard. It's so well deserved, and I'm so glad to see that you're in the Hall of Fame. And I want to remind folks again, please go to theoakridgeboys.com. It's a great website, like you said. It's just been newly redone, and there's so many great pictures and just everything you can possibly imagine you want to know about the Oaks is on there. You can get their music there: Rock of Ages, Boys Night Out, the wonderful new book that you've written On the Road, and your other books, and also at josephsbonsall.com. And, of course, as you mentioned, on Kindle, anywhere. You can always find the Oak Ridge Boys stuff anywhere you go.
All I got to do for the new book is just put On the Road with the Oak Ridge Boys in any search engine, and they're going to find it.
That's right, and I highly recommend it. And I want to thank you for taking the time to be on My Kind of Country, sharing your wonderful stories, and God's blessings to all of you.
Thank you, Scott. I've really enjoyed it. That was actually a great interview, man, and I appreciate your love and support for the group. It means a lot. And see you up there in Michigan somewhere.
Always. Thank you very much. Joe Bonsall on My Kind of Country right here on Fish Creek Radio. Joe, I'd like to have you pick the next song we're going to play by the Oak Ridge Boys. I always kind of do this at the end of the interviews. What would you like us to play?
Play I Love to Tell the Story.
All right. This is I'd Love to Tell the Story from the brand new album, Rock of Ages. The Oak Ridge Boys, as My Kind of Country continues here on Fish Creek Radio. Thanks again, Joe.